Appreciate all your time and everything that you guys have done, and especially the communication with parents when sometimes it's last minute of, hey, can parents come to a game? Can they not come to a game? Is it going to be live streamed? Is it not going to be live streamed? Just the constant communication with that, and of course Carrie spoiling the kids with the food on the way games, especially when you get that request to pick your own wrap that you want to eat, and it's homemade and everything's perfect and sets the bar high. Is that the best? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yes. And Jody too. I tell you what, the videos you put together are fantastic. I mean, those are things that people can keep forever, and that's definitely a video coaches like to watch because that ball is going in the basket, every single time on that one. And the one thing I appreciate with Jody's videos are that when there's not music playing, she's constantly encouraging these kids. I mean, you hear like, way to go, Elena, that's it, can see you. Hey, Alita, all those kind of things. I don't know if I ever hear Joe or Jesse's name, but for the other kids, as it should be. But you just hear when there's that down moment of no music. I mean, you just hear her just screaming for the kids, every single kid, and the encouragement of it. So thank you for what you do, and we appreciate you. The Stowers family hosting the Christmas party for us. We appreciate being able to just kind of do those team bondings whenever we could. After that night, we weren't really concerned about anybody getting sick with COVID as we were with an injury with spoons. I mean, these kids, they haven't played spoons before. It's definitely a big kid. There were some knockdown dragouts definitely for those. So parents too, when you helped out with the barbecue fundraiser, helping out with our tournament, Jamie Gross's parents step up big time for us and saved the day at their processing plant. I think it was the first day of deer season too. So we appreciate you guys big time, so thank you for that. I think sometimes the unsung heroes this year, Mr. Cochran, Stephanie Garland, and Denise Rogers. I mean, they always do a tremendous job in the athletic office for us. Always, if games are canceled or have to be rescheduled, fighting hard to get as many games as we can for these kids, but also, being able to answer tons of questions at any given time because, they may answer a question at 12 o'clock and that answer changes by 12:30. So, especially in the COVID situations and just being able to get that communication out to people, so we appreciate what they do. Our coaches, the entire system, it starts from ground level up. Brittany Chestnut, Lori and Brian Hancock, Kelly Garland, Brandy Browning, Linda Lane, Mackenzie Norton, Marcus Thorne, Callie Shookman, Jenna Bedwell, Kyle Cornelius, Matt Clark, Scott Knighting, Chad Niehaus, Stephanie Young, Doug Bubalo, Coach Harmon, Coach Higgins, Coach Freddie, and Coach Stallman. And where we're super, super lucky is 95% of the time our coaching staff from 5th grade on up are the same. They're the same people. They love doing what they do. Everybody's on the same page, working hard for kids every day. The communication's great, they work hard, and we appreciate everything they do and the time that they put into that. Of course, Dwayne and Coach Brothers, just being able to do our broadcast. Our trainer, Misty, is phenomenal. I mean, when you go to other gyms and there's another, trainer there, they do a good job, but just not like Misty. I mean, Misty does a tremendous job for our athletes. It doesn't matter what time of night it is, she's answering questions if there's something wrong with one of our kids and what we can do for them the next day. Of course, when we started the season, we could have, a couple games where the student section could be there. So we do appreciate the cheerleaders and Courtney Memory being able to get them there. And, she was always texting going, hey, when the cheerleaders can come, we're coming. No matter where it's at, we're coming. So we appreciate them. And Mr. Arthur back there tonight with the band concessions too, as much as those people, the kids get in there, he was giving free popcorn out to the high school kids, just doing whatever we could just to get more people in the stands before the pandemic continued. The community members, I tell you what, what a season this year. It was tremendous to see the backing of the community. I think I told these kids that they don't probably realize it now, but down the road, they brought a community together in a tough situation. People looking forward to things, whether it was their games or the latest post on social media, and just all their support through the tournament time. I think our kids ended up writing over 100 thank you notes, which was a life lesson in itself. We learned how to address an envelope. I think repeatedly, a lot of these kids go, man, my parents can be disappointed in me. Why my parents can be disappointed in me? But yeah, I think just being able for them to have the accountability of this is what all the community members do for them. After they won the first game against Sullivan, it's people wanted to do meals for them, and the treats were coming in, and we were just kind of laughing because we're like, you've won one game. And I think someone I can't believe how spoiled we are. One game. But again, people just get excited about it. They're fun to watch. They can just tell when they watch them together how much enjoyment they have playing together, and just what a great year that they had. All of our sponsors too. We had tons of t-shirts to give out this season, gift cards, plastic basketballs, rally towels. We just couldn't be able to do it this season, but they are definitely ready to go for next season. And more importantly, none of this happens at all if we don't have the players. So So we appreciate you guys and all the time that you guys put in. Again, the highs and lows of it. Basketball season is a long season, and being able to put up with those 4 too. So that says a lot right there. So thank you, everybody, and we'll start off with Coach Freddie.
Okay, hello. Between our injuries, our canceled games, and quarantine this year, our C team really didn't get to start playing our games until about the last week of January. We finished our season with a record of 2-3, with a big win against Boonville and a huge win in a very competitive overtime game at Jasper. This group of girls, they were so much fun to coach because of their positive attitudes, their coachability, and their work ethic. And I'm going to ad-lib here for a minute. They're very flexible. There were 2 different times that I promised them Dairy Queen after both of our wins, and all the Dairy Queens were closed. All the Subways were closed, all the McDonald's were closed, and they handled it really well. So I still owe you guys a treat. Don't let me forget. Okay. Allie Gross was a vital part of our C team this year. She has a high sports IQ and quietly takes care of her teammates. We can always rely on Allie to take the ball out of bounds. She truly is the best inbounds passer. She always puts the ball in the right hand. So, great season, Allie. Bree Browning was one of our toughest defenders this year. She works hard, has a high sports IQ, and an unstoppable motor. She never misses an opportunity to dive for a loose ball or bump a cutter coming through the lane. Bree is a great teammate and is very in tune with the needs of her peers. Great job, Bree. Aaliyah Davis was our motivator on the C team this year. Aaliyah is someone who finds joy in seeing everybody succeed, which makes her an amazing teammate. Her positive attitude made a difference daily in the lives of each of her teammates. Aaliyah worked hard to improve her ball handling this year and gained a ton of confidence as the season went on. So, great job, Aaliyah. Cassie Dillon was someone we could rely on this season for defensive stops because of her speed and her length. Cassie gained confidence in handling the ball and taking outside shots. She works hard every day and is ready to compete all the time. Great job, Cassie. Molly Jones battled an injury for the first part of the season and really didn't get to start playing competitively until January. That's a long time. Within that month, Molly gained a lot of confidence with handling the ball and driving to the basket. Molly works hard and uses her strength to defend well and get tons of steals and deflections. Good job, Molly. Allie Wagler also battled an injury all season long, but was able to play some minutes here and there through her pain. She was someone we could always count on to hit a three-pointer when she was in the game. Allie did a good job of keeping herself motivated during practice when there were drills she wasn't allowed to do.
Or drills that she should.
Okay. Again, there were times where she should have been doing the drills, but she just wanted in so bad. She just put herself in and we just let her go. So, sorry, everybody. Sorry, Mom. Sorry, Mom. And through her injury, Allie always had a positive attitude, which we really appreciated that. So, great job, Allie. Okay, now Coach Higgins will highlight the JV team.
The JV team finished 10-4 this season. We had an offensive average about 36 points a game and a defensive average about 29 points a game. Our losses: Memorial, Tecumseh, Gibson Southern, and Princeton. That was a rough one. These 6 I'm getting ready to talk about did a great job on the JV team, but they also stepped up big when asked to do the scout team. They were rock stars when it came to it. I will mention, though, that multiple times through, I felt like they knew the other team's plays better than they knew our own plays. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but that's okay. First up, we're going to have Elle Stowers. Elle was one once again a great leader for us in the JV team. She did whatever was asked without complaining. With Maddie limited to quarters some games, Elle was always up next to guarding the girls' way taller player. But she never complained, might have made some Elle faces, but never complained. She works hard all the time, no matter what. Elle scored 35 points for us this year and averaged 3 rebounds a game. Elle Stowers. Elle, you want to do one of your faces for us? That was perfect. That was on point. Okay, next one, Emma Dant. Emma led us in steals with 2 steals a game and scored 88 points for us this year with her high point game against Heritage Hills with 16 points. And that was a barn burner until about the 4th quarter. Emma was a good defender for us, handled the ball, and was an outside threat for us, and scored points when we needed her to. Emma Dant. Next up, Sydney Melton. Sid was kind of thrown into the point guard position her freshman year. She accepted it, but at times lacked the confidence, and she might have questioned my decision making at times. This year, though, she did an unbelievable job for us, and her confidence soared. I have to tell the story, though, of the first practice. She looked around and then looked at me all serious and said, "So, Coach, I guess I have to do this point guard thing again?" That was her attitude all year, though. Just do my job and get it done. She did just that. She scored 45 points for us. And tonight, Sid is going to receive our Coaches Award this year, as she was our coach on the floor all year long and a great leader for us. Okay, now I'm going to the 3 freshmen. Haley is first. Haley led us in assists this year, averaging 2 a game with a high of 6 assists in the Princeton game. She scored 70 points on the season and had a game-high 19 points in the Tecumseh game. Haley also led the team in charges taken, I think about 5 or 6. Haley worked hard for us this year, was a great teammate, as she was willing to help people with plays and understanding the game situation, which was hard for others. Haley. She could have delivered that. Sorry. It's hard to find good help. Next up, Miss Maddie. Maddie led us in rebounds and points this year. She averaged 7 rebounds a game and 10 points a game. She scored a total of around 131 points and had a game-high 16 points against Vincennes and had 8 games of double-digit scoring. She also had 77 rebounds. There also were, this was also with her playing most nights 3 JV quarters. When Maddie was out, we struggled to score. She was a big piece of this team. This is the reason Maddie Dalton will be receiving our offensive MVP this year. And last but not least, Allison Hill. Allison led us in steals and deflections this season. That pretty much sums up Allison Hill. She had a game-high 7 steals in the South Knox game and 8 deflections in the Princeton game. Allison also scored 84 points for us. She's one of those that will do anything it takes to win and get better. She works hard all the time, stepped up big time for us at the JV level. She always guarded the other team's best player every night, and will be receiving our Defensive MVP award and our Most Improved Player this year.
Okay, we're going to start off with the varsity with team accomplishments this year. First of all, super proud of this group. I mean, you just talk about all the adversity that they fought through all season long, just the highs and lows, and we're going to play or we're not going to play, and just trying to stay the course and just kind of stay in the moment kind of kids, which was really good to be able to see and for them to be able to handle themselves. So you kind of change the mentality of, instead of, I have to go to practice, I have to do this, to I get to do this. Because not very many people get the opportunity to maybe have that next game or have that next day. So we called these 6 the Sassy 6 about most of the season on that. I think they lived up to that. And you got to have a little bit of that to be able to be as competitive as they are on the court. One thing I want to share with you tonight is we had about midway through the season, one of the officials that had our game twice had put in an exemplary report to the IHSAA about our kids. And what that means is, maybe some people are maybe not aware of this, but for the IHSAA, every high school in Indiana there's a sportsmanship program. So everyone starts with 100 points. And of course, in all the seasons combined together, so you don't ever start over. Obviously, it starts with the fall season, goes all the way to the spring season. Then at the end of the season, if your school has, I believe, 100 points or 95 and above, then your school is presented with a sportsmanship banner. Now, ways that you lose points, you lose 20 points if an administrator gets ejected. You lose 10 points if a coach is ejected, 5 points if a fan is ejected, and 5 points if a student athlete is ejected. So, we were kind of talking one day, we're like, how do we not get this every year? Like, this shouldn't seem too hard to be able to get this. But being able to get, so I think we were down to like 85 points as a school. But being able to get that exemplary report, gives you a bonus point, towards that. So I'd like to read to you what the official had put into the IHSAA portal for their exemplary report. This is the second time this season that my crew has worked a contest with Washington. For both contests, the teams were well-mannered and prime example of sportsmanship. We're very impressed with the demeanor of everyone involved with the program, a perfect balance of competitive intensity and respect for the game. That's huge. That's huge. There's a few times we weren't really happy with those officials that night, but, no, I'm just kidding. I know, I'm live, right?
No, it's
okay,
not.
Okay, good. All right, but no, I think that it says a lot when, the officials are able to see that and be able to take the time to fill out a report like that and put that in the IHSAA. It just speaks volumes about our kids. We're 19-2 overall this season. We missed 5 games that we couldn't play, just couldn't fit them in. So in this room, we're going to say we're 24-2. Yeah. Outside of here, 19-2. 10-0 in conference play. PAC conference champs, first time of conference champs since '03. Plainfield tournament champs, and then back-to-back sectional champs. They ended the regular season ranked number 5 in 3A and stayed ranked in the top 10 all season long. They received votes throughout the season in the top 20 poll, where all classes are combined into one. They played 7 ranked opponents this season, averaged 16 team assists each game. I think the biggest reason for that too with us is, it doesn't surprise me that they were able to share the ball the way they do, but ramping up our schedule this year was super important. For us to be able to play, the ranked opponents as we could, get them up there and play in the Indy area, just to see, that kind of competition. It really helped, I think, when it came to tournament time for us. So, that was huge for us. We be able to put that kind of that challenge in front of them, but know that we hope it paid off come tournament time. And that's the whole idea of it, is to get yourself in a position to be successful come sectional time. The average GPA of this group, well, I'll state that in just a second. So today I found out through the HBCA, the Hoosier Basketball Coaches Association, the entire team was awarded the Honors Court Award, which means the team has to have at least a 3.0 GPA or above. This group has a 3.6. Which again is super impressive, but also a reflection of the parents, because of what you guys expect of them at home. What the expectations are, their structure, their discipline, they get to work, they work hard, and that's definitely a reflection of that. This season we had 2 half-court shots made at the buzzer. Yeah. And a little bit farther back. Yes. I think when you watch that, and I've watched that over and over and over and over and over again, the best part about it is when Jade hits hers, everyone just erupts except Jade. It's just who they are. It's just like, okay, just hit it, just shot it in stride, just like no big deal, just knew how much time was left and nailed it. I think the first person to jump on her was Consia. Okay, so let's reverse roles here a little bit. So Consia hits hers, everyone celebrates, but Consia. And I think that just shows just how humble these kids are. And I think when Jade, she was the first one I saw too, when Consia hit it, where Jade was already down the court, of course, and got it out of the net. She was just like, yes. It was just the excitement how everyone had, you thought we just won a state championship. It was like the end of the 3rd quarter. We're trying to get everybody back in here to get regrouped, but that just doesn't happen very often. So I think just being able to see the crowd go crazy on that, and the kids celebrate, and that's what they did all season long, was just, celebrate each other, and that was huge. Of course, we were quarantined twice. I think the biggest part that I was super proud of these kids were that, even when we couldn't practice and be together, our captains did a tremendous job of setting that bar of what's expected at home. And Coach Harmon, being the former cross-country and track coach, didn't let up whatsoever. So when those captains were able, to kind of record their workouts and put them up on Flipgrid, it really set the tone for, our younger kids to be like they're serious about it. They're counting down the days and the hours to get back on the court and be ready to go. And, even when they come back or not, it's not the same as getting up and down the court, but you can tell, which ones, took it serious and which ones did not. And they did a tremendous job of that. And, just coming back, you could tell that Lagodi game especially, these kids were just chomping at the bit to get out there. The energy was high. The first 4 days we knew were going to be tough because, we're out for 2 weeks, and that's kind of like starting over again each time when that happens. But the energy was good, and, we had to make a tough decision at that time too, because last year we felt like what helped us out a lot was having our boys squad in. Anytime these kids can go against somebody better than them every day, it's only going to make them better. But, we had to make a tough decision, and we talked to the captains about it, is, there's one thing to get better, but not if you can't be on the court. And we would hate for the fact if one of them had tested positive, or, we tested positive, and they, were out too. So, it's just kind of one of those things that we just got to get after it. We just got to know that, just this year's just not the year for that, and just keep moving forward. And I think that energy of them coming out at Lagodi just kind of set the tone for the rest of the season. When you play a very, very good Lagodi team again, back to the state finals again, and just the energy we had coming out, it was just a lot of fun to be a part of. And when you talk about especially our second half of the season, when you're trying to get all these games in, it felt like an NBA schedule for a while there, because you're just playing on time. Of course, they love it. But I think the last time we had a hard practice where we could really get after them, get up and down, losers run, those kind of things, was December 31st. I mean, that's a long time. And I know they're thinking, see, we don't need to practice. Yeah, we do need to practice. But that was just kind of part of it. We wanted to get games, we wanted to keep them rolling, keep them going. And that's just kind of the nature of the beast and how that happened. I think for us too, as coaches, the best part of the season, of course, winning is always fun. But when we found out that the sectional championship game was open attendance, we were after practice. Coach Mr. Cochran had called me and said, "Hey, just got notice from Vincennes that's open attendance." These kids, some of them were still in the locker room. We go in and tell them. I mean, it was just screams nonstop, jumping up. Some of them jumped. I've never seen them jump that high. Most of them. But just the excitement of now they have to go tell everybody else, right? So getting on their phones, letting everybody know, get there, get there, get there. Before we left town, some of the student section was out on the road, waving at all the kids and waving on the bus, just welcoming them, on the road to the sectional finals. And for us is when the kids came out of the locker room right before they did the school song and looked up in the crowd. I mean, that's just something. I mean, Lacey's crying. I'm like, we got a game. It's a sectional championship game. And I don't know if there's a dry eye in the crowd. And you don't have to admit that if you're crying, or there's tears or anything like that. I think just being able to see them look up there and oh my God, this is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. And if anything, so glad that they had that moment. And you knew the energy was high. And when they were doing the school song and the crowd was, chiming in with the school song, and it was just we're taking over. We're taking over Alice Arena, and here we go. So I think that was definitely a big highlight for us throughout the season, just to be able to see that they finally got what they deserved it. Just a lot of people have not been, out to an event for a long, long time. And I think, when people were just coming through the doors, getting up in the stands, it was they were just all like kids in candy shop. It doesn't matter if they were young kids, if they were, 60, 70, it doesn't matter the age of it. Everyone was super excited. And especially the younger little Lady Hatchets. I mean, they were, after that game, they were all over the place trying to, find these kids and get pictures with these kids. And it's just it's what it's all about. And I think in that moment, too, they realized just how much of a difference they make in the community when you just have an outpour of support like that. So, with this team this season, too, leadership was tremendous. We as coaches, the biggest thing that we were trying to train more this year is train everybody in the leadership role. You can't, always just try to train them when they're captains because it's too late. We want them not just to be leaders or captains when they're on the basketball floor, but in life in general. And a lot of that too is having some tough conversations where, we as coaches have to kind of start the conversations, and then we got to have responses from them. And I think, as they kind of dove into more the mental aspect of, confidence is a huge thing. We see it everywhere. When things don't go well for somebody, it's not good. Sometimes they quit, they drop their heads, they just don't want any part of it anymore. But having those conversations of, so when this happens, what are you thinking? And sometimes they don't think about that. Or, if you're kind of in a funk and you've missed a couple shots, how do you get out of that funk? And just being able to have those conversations of, I don't really know. I don't know what I need for that. Like, what do you need from your coaches? What do you need from your teammates? And, especially the 6 varsity kids, like, they can pinpoint, when somebody gets down and what they need to do to get them out of it. And then that was consistent all season long. Like, they knew each other. They knew the body language of, okay, somebody's not feeling it tonight, or, they're just not very confident right now. And they would get to them quickly to be able to get them out of it. And that's player-led. That's exactly what you want, from your kids. After game awards we did this season were like super fun. It's hard to like be able to name those right after a game, because they come in, there's like, I don't know, we don't know. But as the season went on, again, they're just more aware of what their teammates were doing for the team. So when they would come in, whether the coaches would pick them or the kids would pick them, they just knew that here's who we think deserves the lock it down defender tonight. Here who we think deserves the Windex. It took all of us tonight, And sometimes we're like, no, I'm walking and going, nobody defended anybody. Don't give that award out tonight. But no, it's good to see them, like, again, celebrate each other. Put their other teammates in front of them to see, what did they do for the team tonight, and more aware of that. This team too just didn't get rattled. I mean, all season long they played a super tough schedule. There's not one time, as coaches, sometimes you leave the locker room pregame and you go, I don't know if they're ready tonight. Like, what kind of vibe did you get? You think they're ready? We worry about it constantly. And I think like every game this season, we're just like, they're ready. But you just didn't have that doubt at all. Like, they were ready when it came game day, ready for that opportunity to get back out on the court, play together, and play against really good competition. And the relationship too off the court brought them together more on the court. I mean, they had tremendous relationships of how they supported one another, and just the way they joke around with one another, cut up on each other. I mean, like, you just know that's just the type of relationship they have. The biggest one too for us is their composure in tight situations. Again, I don't know if any at a kid level has the toughest job in the world than an athlete. You're out there playing. Everybody in the gym is critiquing you. Everybody is. It doesn't matter if you're on the opposing team or your team. It's happening all the time. You go out there not meaning to miss shots on purpose. It happens. But one of those toughest jobs, to be able to, keep that composure. And, especially, in that sectional championship game. Those are some, tough situations for some of our kids. And, when you don't score for 9 minutes, but thank goodness they weren't either. But, you just kind of think like, okay, what's going on here? But they just kept plugging away and plugging away and plugging away and plugging away. And then just at the end, just being able to hold your composure, when some tight situations were going on, being able to step up and make big shots, and just find a way to win. And I think, like Coach Harmon said it the best, like, because after the sectional game, of course, they're cutting down the net, you don't really get a chance to talk to the kids, like, hey, great job, So that next day at practice, we were just like, so tell me what you thought about at the end of the game. Like, what was going on there? And Coach Harmon, I think, said it best. He's like, I felt like I just need to give everybody a dad hug. It's like you just want to squeeze them and go, like, you did it. Like, you did it. It was just, just as the season went on, and it just, couldn't happen to a better group of kids, and just super proud of them. Our scout team, too, did a tremendous job for us. They get all excited about that stuff. And I think the best part was when Sid and her mom made Rushville t-shirts. But they were top notch. They were good. They had the people's names on the back and the numbers and everything. So they knew, like, they were calling each other all week by the scout names. Like, it wasn't Sid, it wasn't it wasn't anything like that. And they just really got into that and did a tremendous job of preparing the kids all year long. I think what's the hardest part too about, like, when your season's over or when your career's over as seniors, like, there's no closure. I think until you're kind of in that situation, it's like, okay, your season, eventually it's going to come to an end. And when you get to that point, it's like, you have that ending part, you kind of have that last minute time in the locker room with your friends and your teammates, and in a couple days you turn in your stuff, and then, like, what do you do? And we were all just kind of talking afterwards, like, you're kind of like walking in a fog for a while, just like, what do we do? What's our next move here? And I don't want to say, I know a death in the family is a lot worse, but you just have that feeling about you, like, if something just doesn't feel right when you're with these people all the time. And I go back to the sectional championship game too, when Jess and Kinsia were interviewed after that sectional. And I think it just says it right here. Because again, you've got, high school kids, there's a microphone in your face, here we go. And we're always trying to train these kids going, always thank your teammates, always respect your opponent. Always thank your teammates, always respect your opponent. You're just kind of in the heat of the moment on those situations. And when Jess's comment was, man, I love this team. I think that just sums it up right there. And Kinsia was asked, like, what can you take away from this game? She goes, well, obviously the trophy. She goes, and my team. In perfect order for that. But it was obvious. I mean, it's just what it was. But, they are. You can just tell how excited they get for each other, definitely. So, our 5 captains this year with Alita, Jade, Consia, Jess, and Elena. Like, you can't ask sometimes for just a better group of kids and just how they led this team. And they all bring something different to the table, which just makes them even more fun to be around, personality plus. And just how much they led this team was tremendous. And when we talk about the leadership piece, the big thing we talk about with our kids too is like, leadership's not a title or a position. It's all about your actions and the examples that you set. And they did this from start to finish all the time. Things were player-led, they're super competitive, selfless, they celebrate each other. And when it gets down to whatever their role is, they just want to win. They just want to win. I mean, they're complete winners. And that makes a big difference when you're trying to find the success of a team and keep that rolling all season long, that they were tremendous with that all the time. And no matter what their role was, our goal for each kid was, you got to be a star at your role. Every role is super important. You got to be the piece of that puzzle. Some roles obviously are going to be different than others, but you've got to be a star at your role every time. The podcast that the kids did, if you got a chance, first of all, it's hilarious. Like they are so funny. I think the first part when he was like introducing them with their theme song and the little little things about them, I think I listened to that 25 times. Like I just couldn't get past anything else. It was right on. But they didn't have the questions ahead of time, so these kids are just on that podcast. And I think what you hear a lot of, unless they were like making fun of themselves or something, you heard a lot of like we did this, we did that. And I think that's something that really stands out. Like when I hear players talk or coaches talk or people in leadership roles talk or whatever, is how much is it we and how much is it I? And these kids were all about we. The I comes in, whenever you're to blame for something, but not to get obviously the credit for anything. But they just knew the team was bigger than the individual. And to us, like that's culture. Like they're just an example. Like you put culture on a poster. I mean, these 5 are on it. They're on it. And the culture is not something that there's a step-by-step book that you get on Amazon about. It's definitely like what you see, what you hear, and how it feels. Because when so many people had to watch these kids online, they could obviously tell you, man, I want to watch these kids live. And they look so much fun. They have so much fun playing together. They do a great. I mean, they haven't met these kids. That's exactly what they see and what they feel when they watch these kids play. Of course, we say they're super fun to be around. They're just always. It's just one of those kids. Like if you were in high school, this is the group you want to hang with. Like they're just super fun all the time, and it's never a dull moment. But when it's time to play, it's time to play. I mean, they know that fine balance between the two, and have done a tremendous job with that. I think at their end of the season meetings that we had with a lot of them, the main thing that was good to hear from them was that they felt like their confidence was better this year. And they felt like, I didn't get down on myself as, I usually do. And again, I think that shows, number one, they're being more aware when that happens, but also their teammates, are aware when that happens to their teammate, how we're going to get our teammate out of this. Jade and Alita, at the end of their season meeting, I mean, again, this just says it all. Coach Ron, we get down talking to them, and we're just kind of hanging out with them and just chit-chat and how, just great a career they had in the season. And Coach Ron was like, you guys just need to pat yourselves on the back. Like, what a season. It was tremendous. So they pat each other on the back. That's who they are. I mean, it was just like in sync with each other. It was just like, it's exactly who they were. And we were kind of finished, but we didn't know really how to be done with the conversation. We were all like, they're all just kind of still sitting there like, we don't want them to leave yet. But we had another meeting, so we had to kind of get going on that. And the next meeting coming in, had come in, and Jade and Alita went out, and I think Jess was next for the hot seat, right? Okay. So Jess was out in the hallway. We get done with meeting number 2. We go out there. Jade and Alita are still hanging out with Jess. Just talking to her. Just want her out there by herself. I mean, they're just, like they hadn't seen each other forever. And I'm like, you guys want to come in during a meeting? Like, come on, But I think that it just says a lot that when we're sitting there in that end of the year meeting, complimenting Alita, Jade shaking her head like, you're exactly right. When we're complimenting Jade, Alita's sitting there going, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. I mean, it's just tremendous kids that, especially those two, obviously with being their senior year, going to miss a great deal. And I think another funny story with them was when we started to do Read Across America, because we couldn't get into the schools this year, so we got to come up with another solution. So some of the kids, we had the captain say, meet us after school in Mr. Harm's room, so we got to talk about Read Across America. So I walk in there, and like all 5 of them, there's not even an inch between them. I mean, they're just like, again, like they hadn't seen each other forever, just right there all the time. But I think, again, it just shows just what kind of season they had and how important that is. in order to be successful on the court. So tremendous job to everybody there. Okay, so individually here we go. We're going to start with sophomore Chloe Browning. Chloe scored in 19 of our 21 games this season. She was second on the team on three-pointers made. You know, Chloe, I tell you what, she was a completely different kid this year than last year. You know, freshman year, just trying to, figure things out. It's an adjustment. And then this summer, of course, she went through the medical issue with having the surgery in the back of her leg and really fought through that and again, just came out a tougher kid. And this summer, even though in July she couldn't do any workouts with us because of that, I mean, she came in, you could just tell she was ready to go. Didn't miss a workout, even though obviously she couldn't participate at the time. Just coming in with that mentality of like this is the year. This is the year something's gonna get done. And when it came to rehab, she was one of those kids too that when she came in, she was doing a rehab. As coaches, sometimes you have to constantly remind, like, hey, you gonna do your rehab again? Come on. And then if we're working harder at it than they are, then obviously they just don't, care enough to get better. But with Chloe, I mean, like, she was kind of doing things, like, are you supposed to be doing that? Trying to get a hold of Brandy going, is this right? Is she supposed to be doing all this already? But a lot of times we couldn't find her, and then she was running up top, or she was doing things down the court. But just constantly, like, you just didn't have to remind her to get things done. So you just had that, Coach Harmon and I talked, we're like, man, she's gonna have a good year. This is exactly what we need, out of a kid to be able, to fill those pieces with those varsity kids. And she just took advantage of an opportunity. Opportunity knocked, and she definitely opened that door big time. We go back to the Plainfield game. And I tell you what, in the Plainfield game, the first game, again, you're playing really good competition. Sophomore, first year at the varsity level, it's tough. And it just didn't have a good starter. So she didn't play much in the Plainfield game. Now, this is the same day. We could have, again, felt sorry for ourselves, pout around, not be a good teammate, and that's not what happened. Wrong call of game that night, she comes out ready to prove a point. Here's my next opportunity. This could get worse, or, I can take advantage of this and get better with it. And here we go, just not many seconds left to go in the game. Tie ball game here. And we take a shot, miss it, and Chloe goes from one side of the floor to the other side of the floor to get the offensive rebound and gets fouled. Sometimes at that moment, the shot goes up, people just kind of freeze. Things aren't going our way, we don't move, we don't go get the ball, but rebounded out of her area, one side of the floor to the other side of the floor. So she's kind of getting trapped right there in the corner. I'm sitting there going, and this is the honest guy's trail. I'm sitting there going, okay, about to call this timeout, about to call this timeout. And you just kind of hear one of the officials like, don't call that timeout, don't call that timeout. Foul, boom, okay, save a timeout on that one. So here she is at the free throw line, not many seconds left, sophomore, stepping up there to be able to win a championship game in Plainfield shootout. All of our teammates are back. We got to get back on defense because Ron Colley was just like running the ball like crap. We got to get a head start. We got to get back. So she's up at the line by herself. Hits both of them. I mean, just complete confidence. Stepping up there and knocking them in, you could just tell just her demeanor of it. And then as the game went on too, Jess stepped up and hit some free throws for us and sealed the game. But just the confidence of that kid from this season and last season was a lot of fun to watch. It's going to be even more fun, as her years go on. Just became, just tougher mentally, physically, tougher defender for us and rebounder. And that's why Chloe Browning is our most improved player award. Next up is Jessie Ledgerwood. Jessie scored 217 points this season, led the team in three-point makes with 47, double-digit scoring in 12 games, first on the team in deflections. High point game was 20. Most threes in one game was 5. Jess, handles the ball for us a majority of the time. And a lot of times, maybe those things don't always show up in the stat column, but are super, super important, obviously, in order for your team to be successful. She's one of those kids that is a tremendous teammate, has a passion for the game, loves her teammates, loves being in the gym, just loves the competition of it. She can also, like when we were about to correct her, she can finish our sentences. We kind of appreciate if she would fix it first before we have to finish her. So I'm like, Jess, I know, white line jumper. Jess, I know, stop reaching. And she knows. And she's just like, I know. But just a tremendous competitor. And before Christmas, she was frustrated. And part of being a shooter, and especially, from the three-point range, is if you're not hitting very well, that can really mess mentally with you. And the only way to get better at it is you just got to get your butt in the gym. You got to get your butt in the gym. You got to put up more reps. You got to do it at game speed. You got to, get that muscle memory going on it. And before Christmas time, Jess was in the gym about every day and we weren't practicing. And some days we were practicing and then she got back in there that night. And I think the second half of the season that really got her confidence up went to the Plainfield tournament, had a tremendous tournament, both games, and those are the kind of games too that like Jess likes. Those high competitive games, highly talented teams, like big stage moments. That's what Jessie is, and she had a tremendous run for us there, especially that second half of the season. And this just shows who Jessie is too. So South Knox game, Jessie, she had like 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, just all over the place. Again, great energy, tremendous teammate. We got a lead at the end. She was out, she was up, going crazy on the bench for her teammates and all that stuff. And we get home and kind of look at the stats and like, man, Jess didn't score. She didn't score. But still, no one would know in the gym that kid didn't score. A lot of times you see it because body language. If I'm not getting mine, I'm pouting around. I'm being selfish about it. But I just said, the next day in practice we were talking about, like, what did you see out of your teammates last night that was bigger than themselves? And people were kind of going around saying different things about different teammates because they're just being more aware of what everybody was doing. And the biggest thing for Jess was like, she didn't score. But still was doing whatever it took. She's like, I just knew the ball wasn't going in, so I need to really kind of ramp up the other part of it. Here's what I can control. And I think that just speaks volumes of Jess. It's who she is. It's who she is. Her composure in the Vincent's Lincoln game. People still growling over here. Yeah. It was really tremendous. And I think even though at the situation, when the technical happened, what a lot of people didn't see, of course we didn't either until after you go home and watch all the film, was kind of a lot of things that were leading up to that. That was just kind of like that last thing that overflows your cup. Like that was it. And at the end of that moment, like you could tell, like Jess, if there was steam coming out somebody's ears, it was Jess. But like, Coach Harmon and I looked at her like, this is gonna be good. This will be fine. This is gonna be okay. Jade's trying to get to Jess quickly because Jess is pacing. Jess, she's like, you can't believe it. She's not talking. Jess is not talking to anybody. She just kind of, trying to figure out how to handle this quickly. And Jade's trying to get to her. Hey, it's okay. Calm down, calm down. So she's pacing back there. So we go, all right, Conceited, you guys shoot these. Jade was taking care of Jess. Conceited was up at the free throw line for us. But and then she rattles off 7 or 9 points right after that. It's like, okay, But just again, it's that big stage mentality, and at the end of the game, hitting those 2 free throws for us to be able to seal it for us, and it's just, it's who she is. Jess was also in the Indiana Basketball Coaches Association. She was listed one week for other top nominees for Player of the Week. Jessie is also our Most Improved Player Award, and Jessie also was a member of the PAC All-Conference Second Team Award. Next up is Kensia Levasier. Kensia scored 311 points this season. She's first on the team in field goal percentage at 55% from the field, led the team in free throw percentage at 76, second on the team in rebounds, 183, first on the team with assists, second on the team in steals. She scored double digits in 18 of the 20 games and scored 20 or more points in 4 games. Double-digit rebounds in 9 games. 8 games with a double-double. High point game was 26. Most rebounds in a game, 15. She was Indiana Basketball Coaches Association other top nominees for Player of the Week 3 times. Evansville Courier All-Southwest Indiana first team. Indiana Basketball Coaches Association top 15 All-State large school underclassmen. And that includes all 3A and 4A freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. PAC All-Conference first team. You okay? Yeah, okay. Yeah, all right. Kensia, you just talk about it as a competitor. Like, if I'm going to battle and I'm going to war, Kensia. She's a winner, works hard, loves her teammates. She's a tremendous teammate. And she's just one of those kids that will do whatever it takes to win. She's not real tall. She'll say she's 5'8". I would maybe 5'5", 5'6". 5'6"? I'll give you, you're not 5'9"? No, there's no way. Anyway, but she makes things like, the way she finishes, the way she goes to the bat, she just makes things look so effortlessly. Just so fluent and just so easy. But a lot of times she's going up against 5'9", 5'10", 6'1". And, and you go back to the sectional final game, and my gosh, she just had that mentality. She saw a gap, took it, and, and from our angle, thank God it went in, that's what we saw. But as you start to replay it and kind of see it from different angles also, going to her left in traffic over kids taller than her and finishes. Like, that's not easy. This is what Kensia does. And then have the instinct to pressure the ball. As she knows all season, like, we have been guilty of it big time of just people nonchalantly take the ball out without paying attention and looking. She jumped on that so hard, it was just like, she just wasn't going to get beat. Wasn't going to let her team get beat that night. And that's just completely what it came down to. I mean, she has improved her game, each year. Just had a tremendous year again this year. Tough, obviously, that week before regional. I mean, obviously, there's no one broken hearted about it more than what Kinsia was. And she did a tremendous job, though, of pulling her teammates together. I know, like, before the regional game, she's like, "Can I call your timeouts?" Remember that? Like, we don't need a technical to start this off. And I said, "But we should have." We didn't have timeouts left, but I said we should have plenty because usually we have to call them because I need to talk to you and figure things out. But but in that game we did. But no, I mean, you just talk about as a true teammate. People just gravitate towards her. Great personality, hard worker, and just one of those kids you just want multiples of. I mean, she just has had a tremendous career so far, and just super proud of that kid. And I think when you see, I don't know if anybody saw, the sectional, man, there was just so many videos and pictures after that. It was just like, I studied up all night just looking at that stuff. But one of the Action 10 News, I think, had her play on the other side of the court. So it's kind of a different angle on that. So when you see her pop out there and just get that deflection, and she's trying to tight wire the sideline with the ball, one of their players is kind of like, we got a foul. Yeah. And she's still trying to stay in bounds. I mean, that kid their teammates were trying to get back on defense because they thought, they're going to inbound it. Well, within seconds, here they come back down because Kinsia's got the ball. And I mean, she was just on a different level. When you could see that kid's face, I mean, she was in the zone. She was in the zone. I mean, she was jumping up and down. Her teammates were trying to get to her. She was just kind of like, let's just go. Like, let's just keep winning. And just kind of took that ball and made that chest pass, the official best chest pass she's made all season. I mean, it was fundamentally sound. It was good. Thumbs were down. But you just knew right then that, like, we're going to win. We are going to win. So, tremendous year for Kinsia. A complete coach of the floor. And some games, of course, every game, things just don't go well. That's just what happens in athletics. And when you talk about like things that sometimes the coaches don't see, we're like, okay, this wasn't going real well. So how are you guys handling that out there? And a lot of times you'll hear the kids say, especially Jess and Jay, be like, Kinsia's trying to keep us together out there. Kinsia's the one trying to tell us, like, trying to get us up and keep us up. And it doesn't always have to be loud, but just trying to get to kids to keep that glue on the team and keep them together. So it definitely just brings people together. So Kinsia is our co-offensive MVP. She's also our Coaches Award winner and PAC All-Conference first team. Next up is Elena Thorne. This season, Elena scored 336 points. She was second on the team in field goal percentage at 52, first on the team in rebounds at 192, second on the team in assists, first on the team in steals, and 25 blocks this season. Alita was a close second. Or Jess thinks she is. You think you were? Just stay on your feet. You're not a shot blocker. And she gets a couple blocks. Elena scored double digits in 20 out of the 21 games. Scored 20 plus points in 5 games. Double in 9 games. Highest point game was 26. Most rebounds in the game, 13. She had that twice. Indiana Basketball Coaches Association, other top nominees for Player of the Week 5 times. Evansville Courier, All Southwest Indiana first team. Indiana Coaches of Girls Sports Association, 3rd team All-State. Indiana Basketball Coach Association, top 15 All-State, largest school underclassmen. PAC All-Conference first team. And she finally won the tip against Macy Lane. Thank you, Kinsia. Thank you, Kinsia. And that's another thing, Kinsia does a good job of too, is, after that, again, every time, these videos aren't going live, are they? They're not going to be shared or anything? Was Jack? Okay, all right. But every time that Elena plays against Macy and they tip it off, her arm is pulled down, and she looks over like, oh my God, she did it again. Like that one time you're like, she's not going to do it this time. And so when it went into overtime, I think Kinsia just kind of said it right in front of everybody. She's like, listen, she's going to pull her arm down. She needs to stop pulling her arm down. So then one of the officials had walked over to their coach and was like, hey, we're going to have to call it, if she does, because it's intentional. There's no play on the ball, So sure enough, the ball goes up. She can't pull her arm down. Elena gets it. And I think that's the crowd just went nuts. Everybody's like, oh, yes, finally, she's got it. But she can do it fairly. Elena gets it. Just how it works. Elena's one of those kids too that can play all 5 positions. Super versatile. Can defend all 5 positions. Not only, obviously, she's our leading scorer, but she also gets the defensive assignment of defending the other team's best player. You don't really see that a lot with a lot of teams because if they're their top player on offense, they usually don't put them on the top couple players on the defensive end. But Elena just always accepts that challenge. Just the way she runs the floor, her game has developed over the past couple years, especially just the huge jump from her freshman year. Confidence has improved a great deal. Again, another good leader for us this year, a tremendous teammate. I mean, she just keeps getting better all the time. And again, I think one of the biggest, and she won't tell you this, and it's not who she is, but because every individual award she gets, it's always because of her team. There's always a team behind an individual award that makes that happen, and she's the first one to tell you that all the time. And when she was recently named to the Indiana Basketball Coach Association Indiana Junior All-Star Team, as a junior, that's probably one of the most prestigious awards that you can receive in the state of Indiana for basketball. And that's just a big time honor for you. So congratulations for that, that's huge. We haven't had very many named that in the Lady Hatchet history, so congratulations with that. And after that too, I think it shows also that between emails and text messages and phone calls, I had 46 total, and they were all just congratulating Elena. And I think that shows a lot, not only just because of the award, but because of what kind of kid she is and her character and how hard she works, and people see that. Because a lot of times a kid may get an award and they're kind of butthead, like, who wants to congratulate them? That's hard to do sometimes. You try to do the right thing, whatever, but you're not gonna send out 42 text messages or emails to people, making sure that we let Elena know, so-and-so say congratulations, they're proud of her, just love watching her play, and I think that just speaks a lot about her character and who she is, that people respect her game and who she is. So just a tremendous year for Elena, tremendous accolade for her. She's going to be playing. And the Indiana All-Star team too for the juniors used to be 18 kids. They had a core 6 kids, and then there were 6 from the north and 6 from the south. That core 6 always played in the games. So when they would play up north, the north kids would play with those 6, and they played the south kids would play with those 6. Well, this year they had changed it, and only 12 kids made it. And it didn't matter where you lived. So, that's even tougher to be able to make it. When you look at that list of who's on there, there's about 3 or 4 kids that played for a state championship this season. So, you're the best of the best. So just, again, a tremendous honor for her. So this year, Elena is our co-offensive MVP. She is also our defensive MVP, ICGSA All-State, and PAC All-Conference First Team. Our first senior up here is Alita Dradanoska. Alita is I love telling the story about Alita. Alita was a junior on the JV team last year. And sometimes when you have those situations, you just kind of never see will they be a varsity player? Are the people in front of them now? Obviously they're gonna be better than what you are. Do they graduate? Is that, your opportunity next year? And, coming in to July, and again, Alita is tough as nails. That kid is tough as nails. And you just kind of wonder, where do I fit here? In end of the year season meeting, we kind of just lay it out to kids, here's what we need. We're not going to guarantee anybody anything, but here's what we need for us to be successful next year. It's one of those things that, you can either take it and run with it, or just, this may just not, you just don't want to do it. It may just not be for you. But of course, that's just not Alita. Whether she goes back and forth with that, questioning back and forth of that, Jade was going to bring her along no matter what. It's just what they are. she was not going to let her not think she couldn't do it. And I think that also shows the bond between those two. But Alita in July, she came out just I'm going to show you. And that's what we wanted to do. She knew exactly what her role was. Get it to the scores, defend people, and a couple times she was our second leading rebounder in games. Again, just whatever it took for the success of the team, no matter what. Your night, you may play a lot of minutes. Your night, maybe you didn't. If those 5 are gelling, whoever's out there, we're running with them. It's not necessarily did anything wrong. It's just that group is just doing so much more right. And just the leadership of that, to know what your role is, to know that we can't be as successful if you don't do what you did this season in the role that you played. And again, you see these kids nod their heads that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's hard to do sometimes. Because again, you go back to, it's not about the accolades of it. Her name's probably not going to be in the media tons of times, but we know every time that when she does what she does, the things behind the scenes for her team, that's huge. And as coaches and teammates, they notice that. They know to be successful, you got to have kids like Alita Dradanoska. You have to. And come season time, again, we're all right, kind of fitting the pieces of the puzzle. How's this going to work out? And Alita made the decision for us. We didn't have to figure out who we were going to start, who we were going to play, and all those kind of she made that decision for us. And when you look at it, like, coaches kind of make fun of me how much I watch our games, but like, you watch the first time, you know, to kind of break down what we need to get better. I watch the next time to kind of see people's body language and how people are reacting to things. And, you know, it doesn't matter what happens for us, that's good. If Alita is out, she's off the floor about like this high. I mean, that kid gets more excited for her teammates than about anybody on that team. You know, and it always, probably close to like, you know, Elle and Sid too. They get up there pretty high too and pretty jacked up for their teammates. Tremendous, obviously, teammates too. But, you know, Alita, you just see it all the time. Like when we can see games and, you know, maybe there's a game like those 5 are gelling and Alita didn't get in very much. If they're scoring or things are going well, Alita is up. Alita is clapping for her teammates. She's getting them all fired up. She knows, you know, that that's her role. It doesn't matter if you're on the bench or on the floor. Like you got to be able to be that best teammate and do what's best for your team at that moment. And I mean, I think that just shows, you know, just what kind of person Alita is. And like she took the opportunity and ran with it. And again, we wouldn't be in the position we are in without you. Because she knew exactly when games went on, who to get the ball to. You know, passing angles improved a great deal, getting the ball quicker to people, being able to be that lock it down defender. I mean, she loved just making people frustrated all the time. And her composure in the Lincoln game too. Because she, you know, was kind of right there with Jess too a few times on some things because, you know, they had to be able to handle themselves well. And just very, very super proud of her. Great leader on the floor, like we said, the bench. And she'll just do whatever it takes for the team. And that's hard. Because again, you know, coming in, junior on the JV, what's this look like for me? Senior year, and I mean, just I couldn't be more proud of the kid. She's our Mental Attitude Award winner. Last but not least, Jade Browning. Jade scored 214 points. In her career, she scored 347 points, and that was just like a year and a fourth of varsity. She ranks 49th on the all-time Lady Hatchet scoring list. Her mom ranks 47th. I didn't know if I should share that or not share that. It's a little more bragging right there. You were injured. If you weren't injured, that wouldn't even be close. No, but shot 51% from the field, third on the team in rebounds, scored double digits in 11 games. High point game was 19. Indiana Coaches of Girls Sports Association, Academic All-State, made the HBCA, Hoosier Basketball Coach Association, District 1 team. And, you know, Jay she had a phenomenal year. And if you want, you know, it's always tough when seniors, you know, lose that last game or the career's over. But the way she went out in that Rushville game was phenomenal. I mean, she stepped up big time, you know, especially when we have an injury with Kancia, and just really took that team on her shoulders and just went with it. And super proud of her for that, to be able to, you know, in a tough situation, still be able to know that I got to pick up my game. You know, Jade, her sophomore year, I remember this, it's like it was yesterday. We were coming back from Heritage Hills game, and it was atrocious. It was like, the score was like 32-30. I remember we were sitting in the office, like, we got to get a new offense. Like, we're not leaving this office until we crank this out. And then we had called Jade in there. We go, listen, Jade. You know, because Jade was scoring, she was getting up down the floor well in the JV game, scoring points. I go, listen, start next game here with varsity. And we just got to have more scoring opportunities and the offensive threat. And then her junior year, the summer going into her junior year, I remember Coach Harmon and I afterwards like, man, Jade had a tremendous summer. Like, we were just ready to start the season right then. Like, let's just get going. I mean, tremendous summer. And then, what was like the first week of practice? Yeah, breaks her finger. Of course, in Jade fashion, I think there's something wrong with my finger. You know, I'm about to vomit and pass out. Just go see the trainer, you know. And of course, she was out, you know, for like half the season, then just trying to get back to that. So to be able to see her have just such a great year that she had this year as a senior, we're super proud of her for that. And just a tremendous athlete, you know. And she's one super coachable. And like when I say coachable with her too, when you tell her things she needs to work on, she's working on it. She's not doing it later or like 2 years down the road or when I get to it or, you know, things like that. You know, our Christmas meeting was like, hey, like, you're super quick to the ball. Like, you know, have a knack for when that ball comes off the rim. Like, we got to get in there more to get some more rebounds. Okay, all right. And, you know, passing too, we got to work on that angles a little bit better. You know, getting that pass in there quicker. Okay. In the next 2 games, it was like it was fixed. But you knew she was going to take what you said and get better with it. Like, it was important to her. And we always say, like, if we're trying to fix something or want you to change something, if it's important to you, you'll change it. If it's not, you're probably not going to change it. And, you know, Jade is, again, tremendous teammate, super coachable, just has just a knack for the ball coming off the rim. And about halfway through the season, we told Coach Arnold, like, we got to get down here with the post and do some work down there. She's like, what, are you 5'6"? 5'5", okay, man, still. So, because her back to the basket moves are about like no other. She just knows exactly where the rim is, she knows exactly where the backboard is, and her being able to just get up there and she jumps well, it's hard for teams to stop. There's a lot of times she was scoring over, probably every time, she was scoring over 5'9", 5'10", 5'11", 6 feet. I mean, just a quick knack for it and knowing where to put that ball up. And that just, again, just developed her game even more. Confidence went up, she's able to score in transition, be able to score with her back to the basket, and just added more to her game with that. You know, and the thing with Jay too, when Elena had to guard the other team's best player and they were point guards, Jay got the responsibility of guarding their post players. Again, our post players we play against, 5'11", 6 feet, you know, so on and so forth. And again, you tell Jay, we had Forrest Park girl came in and she was averaging 13 rebounds a game. Jay, this is the only game I will not yell at you if you don't get a rebound. But the first priority is she cannot get a rebound. She can't get a rebound, especially on the offensive end. She cannot get any offensive rebounds. That kid had 2 rebounds, and she had 0 offensive rebounds. Coming in with 13. I mean, but again, she just has that knack to go, okay, this is the assignment, I'm gonna take care of it, and we're gonna see what happens. Just, you know, never, ever, ever backs down, you know, from a challenge at all. Confidence, of course, you know, increases, and she takes care of everybody. I think it was a regional game. You know, we're getting ready to talk about, like, hey, don't forget what you need to pack for the weekend. Of course, panic mode sets in with everybody. I don't know what to bring. What do we bring? I don't care what you bring. Just make sure you have your game stuff. I don't really care what you bring. And then they immediately go, Jade! She's like, I already got my list made. I'll share it out tonight. So it was like 3 or 4 days earlier. Like, she's just that, again, responsible, you know, super organized, and just, again, just takes care of everybody. And just such a hard worker. Like, Jade just doesn't have patience for people who don't work hard. And I love that about her. Because there's not one time you have that tell that kid to pick it up or work harder or what's going on today. And that's hard to do every single day. And that's who the kid is. Another story about Jade. So I call her, we're talking about, you know, going on a bowling trip this Friday with the team. I said, hey, if you'll just kind of get a feel for who wants to go, you know, who's available to go, here's what we got, okay. So she calls me Sunday and she says, okay. So she tells me about how many people want to go. Okay, that's great. I said, did you give them a deadline or a time to call you by? She goes, yeah, I told them they need to let me know today by 11:30. Okay, I look at the clock, it's 11:31. I go, man, I love this. Like, yes, Jade. So I don't have time for you to be late. Like, on time's late. You know, like if I say 11:30, get this in, get it in. But that's just the leadership, you know, that she displays with everybody. She did just tremendous. And you know, this year too, it's fun to see her like get out of her comfort zone a little bit. You know, being goofy, you know, playing around, and just super fun to be able, like, you know, the kids were doing dance moves, like, I don't know what you're doing, and then, you know, Jay jumping in there on that, or, you know, like, Odie doing the TikTok in the locker room, or whatever the case may be on that one. But, you know, just being a kid, you know, and a lot of these kids, too, is not taking things too serious sometimes, but know when to take things serious. And, again, she just had a phenomenal senior year for us. And I think when we were talking about the sectional final game, the next week in practice, we were talking about the kind of last play that led in before regulation. Of course, they didn't run the play right, but that's another side of the point. But anyway, so, you know, they're back there at the 3-point line. Jade has it, you know, she passes it to Jess, and then, of course, you know, Jade goes in there for that rebound. And when we were talking about it, I'm like, so what are you guys thinking at the end there? Like, what was going through your mind? And Jade goes, well, I knew that Jess had a better chance of hitting this than I did. She said, I was going to go rebound in case you missed. And that's, I mean, exactly what she did. And then she had that ball. I mean, I don't know what that play seemed like. It just happened in such slow motion. Like, it just came off the rim. There was Jade, which she's been doing all season long, just crashing the boards, working hard, getting those hustle plays. And she just had it right there. And I mean, it was just like, Jade fell down. I mean, did you fall down at the same time? Yeah, everybody was, you know, just everybody had that moment too. But it was just like, that's Jade. Just that last second shot goes up, and most people just kind of freeze and see what happens. It's not always that last second shot, it's that last second rebound. And I mean, she was just right there at that right time. You could tell after regulation, she was just like, man, you know, I was in that right spot. And sometimes it just doesn't go in. At that point, when that happened, like, our team could have, you know, completely folded in. Just didn't go in, things aren't going well, you know, all those kind of things. But they really stepped up that in overtime to be able to just find a way to win. And again, you know, Jade's one of those kids that doesn't come along very often because, again, work hard, put the team before herself, tremendous athlete, just a complete package, and just super proud of what she's done for us this season. Jade, again, just from her freshman year to senior year, I mean, just improved every single year. And, I mean, just a constant worker. Like, you got kids that work hard, we're always kind of like, you can always work harder. Like, there's never that plateau of like, man, this is as hard as I work, this is it. But not only does she work hard, but she gets things done. And there's a difference there. Sometimes people just work hard just because the coach says, hey, you gotta make this time, make this line drill at a certain time, or you don't, you run it again. But with Jade, like, not only is she working hard, but she's getting things done. She's becoming a better rebounder, she's becoming a better passer, she's getting down the floor even quicker than she is before. Just those kind of little things all the time, that just how effective she is with that. So Jade is our most improved award winner. She's also our Hustle Award winner, and then the ICGSA Academic All-State Award. Okay, and then one more award for the evening. We did this is the first time we've done this. So Coach Higgins put out a Google Doc on their Google Classroom, and we called it the Hatch Award. So what we did was, the criteria was, it's kind of like the best teammate award. This person developed real relationships with everybody on the team, willing to play any role on the team, works hard to improve, consistently shows a positive and energetic attitude, supports others when they are struggling, makes others feel valued, never places blame or finds excuses, and makes you play harder because of the energy they bring. And we had the kids vote. They weren't all sitting together with us, so they had to kind of vote on their own, and confidential vote. And we had about 6 kids get quite a few votes. It was kind of spread out between the 6. But then we had one that had about double the amount of votes as second place did. And the Hatchet Award winner this year goes to Jay Browning. Now we have a few guest speakers tonight for us. I think one thing that our kids miss, and I think a lot of community members miss too, is just that interaction with the kids. We had tremendous super fans this season, definitely. But we have a few speakers that would just kind of like to talk about the kids and just what a great season they had this year. And we're going to start with Mr. Spillman.
Gretchen said that try to keep to a few minutes, and those of you who had me in class know that is a problem. Of you ladies over here, I think there are 14 or 15 of you who I taught your parents, and probably 6 of you who I taught your grandparents. So I'm old. If you've also seen a little video running around, I think Jesse has a copy, and I know that Liz Pruitt has a copy, or Liz Reed has a copy, but in 1993, I was the 8th grade coach, and our girls won the conference championship, and my point guard is right over here, and it's a fun thing to watch if you ever want to have a reason not to listen to her in practice. But award winners, champions, great students, what do you say? I've been around girls basketball here in Washington since it started back in the 1970s. I helped announce games when they played their games out in the Lena Dunn gym, because the varsity boys coach didn't want them playing in the high school gym and taking up his practice time. Times have changed, and I'm very proud of you guys. It was a pleasure to be able to watch this group of girls play, represent our community, our schools, and their families with such grace, sportsmanship, and competitive fire. Their academic achievement as a former teacher is a big thing in success. One of the things that you'll learn if you read statistics is that 95% of the CEOs of major corporations participated in some form of interscholastic athletics. They were on sports teams. It's where they learn to be teammates, to work together for a common goal, even while you're competing against each other a little bit. For years, that was an opportunity that our daughters did not have, and it's an opportunity that you girls, I hope, take advantage of. That's really, really important. And one of the things that I think is important is how well you work together and push each other and help each other. There are 3 people on this team that haven't stood up yet. Managers, stand up. But I watch these girls every game. I watch these girls every game do the things that they needed to do to help this team be successful. And they're a big deal. So, thank you. This team is one of the most selfless teams that I've seen. They're hardworking, dedicated. When I talk to my friends who both live here in town and out of town, I continually hear about the high character of this group of young women, that they're role models. When I was coaching, when I was teaching school, I always told my kids that you don't know when the younger kids are looking at you and what you're doing and when you're doing it. And these young ladies, whether it's during a game, before a game, after a game, they conduct themselves with character. They're truly great role models. The whole community is very, very proud of you. And Jay and Alita, thank you so much for what you've done. The rest of you, thank you for what you've done. And thank you for the hard work you're going to put in to get better next year. Thanks a lot.
Mr. Spillman's probably the only non-parent that was able to see all the home games this season, right? Yeah. Okay. Next up for us is Miss Terry Fry. I don't know if you're going to find more of a super Hatchet fan, especially for the girls' basketball team. I think she got into more games than she probably should have this season. We won't tell the health department though. But I think one thing about what Terry that just gets me excited all the time is when I was going up to the restroom right before the Lagodi game and she was coming in. It was her first game, I think. Were you able to see the kids? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So she came in like,
Yeah.
So she came in, eyes big. I mean, you thought like she had just been to her first Bon Jovi concert. I mean, like she was just super pumped and just kind of giggling and screaming, like just could not wait to see these kids play. And I think that speaks a lot. We talk about, again, how much you guys bring a community together, and Terry Fry's a big part of that.
So, starting out the season, I was really, really hopeful. North Knox and South Knox games, I was able to attend both of those. And then kind of went downhill from there. I got the word about the quarantine, of course, from my nephew who was on the boys team. So he broke my heart that day. And I had to figure out within myself how I was going to support you guys when I couldn't be there. That's not normal for any kind of team. I watched, actually went to the Lagodi game, like I said. Someone hooked me up with an extra ticket and I kind of snuck in. Was praying that when everybody was outside seeing Santa Claus and I snuck in, that nobody would ask me how I got in there. So I was able to see that. I could not fathom the way that game went. You guys absolutely it gave me chills. I'm a parent and I have all boys. They don't play sports, so I'm kind of deprived in that department, but it gave me joy to see how you guys can overcome this.
when I was your age, if we had something such as this COVID, and everything that it has brought, negatives, and you guys turned it into a complete positive, worked hard while you were stuck at home, and, I mean, really couldn't even contact each other, and come out and play that game like that, and I'm asking people, is this the same Lagodi team that went to state last year? Because I can't even imagine what's happening here. So I was so super proud of that. And then from there, it was parents only, parents only, parents only. And believe me, I've tried everything that I could. Texted Gretchen, or Coach Miles, sorry, about 1,000 times. Please, can you get me in? Please, can I do this? Please, can I do that? I was willing to work concessions. I didn't care. I did not care. I would sweep the floor between games. Didn't care.
Been on the bus a couple times.
Well, yeah, I tried. So the Memorial game came up, and I was like, I cannot miss the Memorial game. She's like, I'm sorry. Their rules are real strict. You can't even take siblings. And I'm like, well, there goes being someone's auntie. So. Jackie had her arm, so I texted Gretchen and I'm like, can I please just drive her and like get in that way? And she's like, no. So of course I watched it on live stream, and I was still so impressed with how in the mix of all this, and you guys not having more than what, 20, 30 people there watching, that you guys still kept it together. Win, lose, or draw, you know, that's not what fans, real fans, aren't only there when you guys win, okay? And you'll look in the stands, and you'll see people who you've never seen before when you're winning, and you'll miss people that you thought you saw all the time, and when you're not. So, and that's just the facts of life. People are just like that. So, we got back in this kind of the swing of things. I was getting used to watching you guys on live stream. Sat in my bedroom all day that Saturday when you guys played at that Ron Colley tournament, and cheered like I was at the game. My kids are so embarrassed, you know. I live on Walnut Street, so you can't be too loud because everybody in town knows what's going on. So I absolutely loved watching that. I really did have plans at the beginning of the season of going, so it was kind of hard to sit there and watch it, but it was just becoming the new norm. So we kind of plugged along for the rest of the season. I went to several games, of course, all the home games when they allowed black and gold passes. I went to all of those, wouldn't miss it in the world. If there were any out-of-town games that they were allowing people, I was trying to get there. And I know I'm not the only one. I just want you guys to know that. I'm not the only one. But there are people in this community trying to get there. So we get to sectional. The first game, of course, no such luck. So I had to listen to it on the radio because as a single parent, I really didn't at the time have a measly $10 to watch it on live stream. So I'm like, well, radio it is. So I just kind of closed my eyes and I can see it. You know, I can totally see you guys doing what you needed to do. Then Friday night came along and, well, Elena, I'm your grandma, just so you know. Or I was that day anyway. And I was able to, and I know a lot of people in Vincent's, I was so scared to tell them, like, that was my name, and they'll be like, yeah, I know you. But anyhow, so I was able to get in that game, and I'm like, okay, so tomorrow night, I'm gonna do the same thing, and I'm coming, you know, come high water, I'm coming. So I was on Facebook, of course, Saturday morning, and they said, all fans are permitted, and I'm like, whoa, we must be playing Vincent's, at Vincent's. So we loaded up, cars deep, and when they opened those gates, I could not, of course, before they even opened the gates, the lines to get in were unreal. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. People who've been waiting the whole season to just see you guys play. And playing Vincent's on top of that. So we get in, and I'm nervous. Like, I don't think I would be more nervous if one of you were my child. So we get in, and I'm sitting with Jackie and Bella, and you guys come out, and I cannot even explain the looks on faces. It was like seeing kids at Christmas. And that to me, I mean, I'm a kid person, so when I see that look on a kid's face, I really. So, you guys started in on the school song, and then like the crowd closer to you guys started in, and then we could hear them, and we started in, and that was when I was like, we're winning a sectional tonight. And you guys just held your composure, you played together like you have all season, and overcame another obstacle that has always been in the way of Washington High School, and took Vincent's and just showed them exactly what you were made of. And I just couldn't be more proud. I'm out on the floor after the game and running around telling everybody congratulations, and I'm like, probably went to school with probably, I don't know, half the parents. So, I mean, I've known your parents since they were kids too. Some of them are way younger than I, but, I mean, we still knew each other. So, I can't wait to get my tickets to regional, and I just got a random text message from somebody with a link, and I bought my ticket on Monday, and then everybody was like, oh, you were supposed to do that. I said, well, I'm going. Stopping it out. But I was really impressed, and of course, I had heard on Friday that Concio wasn't gonna be playing. I'm like, that's okay, that's okay. Those other girls are gonna step up, and they are going to leave it all on the floor. And 100%, you guys did not let down anyone. Every single player left it on the floor. Concia left it on the floor. I just love watching Concia. I don't know, if you ever go to a basketball game, football game, whatever, and they play the school song, if you don't watch Concia, you're bored. Because she is the most fun. And I've been watching, this is probably what, the third year, and she knows every move, every bit of it. It's so impressive because she's not a cheerleader. And she has no reason to know it. But she does, and I think that's amazing. Like, that's amazing. And I don't know why you won't cheer. You don't have the time or what? No. Well, you'd be good at it, just saying. But, I mean, as long as you're still good at everything else, it's okay. So anyways, I do want to thank you guys for giving people a place to go to see, sports, and I appreciate that you guys, you're a family. It's not a team at all. And every child, every person in this school deserves to be a part of that in some situation. So you guys having what you have, you're very, very, very special. So I just wanted to say thank you to you guys for giving us that out. Of course, with COVID and everything, I would have probably driven to who knows where to see you guys play it like you would. So I do appreciate that. I appreciate parents, everything you guys do. I can't imagine, like I said, my children don't play sports, but I cannot imagine the time, the money, the energy that it takes. And as a fan, I appreciate that. And I know your girls do too. And then the last thing that I wanted just to touch on real quick, Last week when I was at the podcast with the girls, I kind of laid down a big hope and dream that I have, and I hope it's one that they have too. No pressure. For real, no pressure. But I know if you guys do the best that you can do and do what's in your hearts, it's not gonna be pressure, you're gonna be there. So I look forward to the future, seeing the 8th grade class come up and be freshmen and you guys send down to them what you've built and just keep it going. I'd like to see kindergartners that step into this role someday and say, you know, I saw this when I was in kindergarten and I absolutely wanted to be a part of it. So I ask that you do that, and good luck to you guys. You're gonna have a lot of fun. Moving on, life is gonna get interesting, but it'll be fun. So just take every day and enjoy it. And good luck to you guys. And I appreciate you letting me come in tonight and speak, and thank you so much.
Next up is Miss Amy Sandulo. Again, she was on the podcast with the kids, and anytime we had practice after school at the junior high, she was always coming up and talking to the kids and wishing them good luck for the week and telling them a great job they're doing, and trying to be an adoptive parent to one of them just to try to get into the games, and just a super fan, a good supporter of our kids in all Hatchet sports. So Amy Sandulo.
I'm starting to think I need Terry's connections to get tickets. What's up with that? Likewise, I was chomping at the bit to get to some games. Of course, we were allowed early on, and then it got shut down, and I was not a happy camper. I asked Jessie if I could be her mom, and it's tough sitting at home when you really want to be there, and you guys know me, I'm loud, you had me as a teacher. And so my kids are like, you don't have to yell, they can't hear you through the TV. I'm like, oh, but they know I'm yelling at them through the TV, for real. But, missing you guys playing was tough. I'm so thankful for the technology that we have to be able to watch you on live stream and to listen to the radio broadcasts. A lot of times, before they put the radio broadcast with the live stream, I would mute my sound on my TV and listen to Dwayne and Bro on the radio because they're way better. You guys have kind of brought back a little of my high school days because I had the pleasure of growing up watching some excellent basketball players, some who are in this room with us. Those were some of the best days that I had in high school. I can't play basketball, so I kind of lived vicariously through them. But now I'm living vicariously through you guys because you guys kind of really brought it back. You've made it fun. I loved having every single one of you in class, mostly because none of you take any crap from the boys, which is what I like the most. Jessie always beat Nicholas in one-on-one every day, and that was even better. But you guys are truly amazing people off the court as well. And that's so admirable at your age. And I can't tell you as a teacher what that means. You make it easy. You guys made my job easy. And then to be able to watch you guys have the successes that you've had is pretty amazing. Sectional, I'm a crier, if you guys didn't know that. I had a few tears as well. But I also wanted to go down and punch the girl that was defending Jessie. I told her that after the game. I was like, I don't know how you handled it because I wanted to throw some punches. But that just speaks a lot about who they are. But this is also why I don't play contact sports. I'll stick with softball. I don't get to get too close. But just know that, seniors, thank you. You guys are amazing. I think I've told you guys that multiple times. The rest of you, I look forward to seeing what you guys can do. And I think, hopefully, I don't have to worry about how I'm getting tickets, but I'm definitely thinking I'm somebody's relative in a long line of relatives if we have to limit attendance next year, which I'm hoping and praying we don't. Thank you to the coaches, because I think you guys also make them who they are. But most importantly to the parents for raising girls that, like I said, made my job easy as a teacher, and make these girls easy to love. because I can honestly say I love every girl sitting at this table right now. So, I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate you parents, and I appreciate the coaches. So, thanks for having me.
Next up is Scott Arthur. He's super excited for this, to talk in front of people. He did say it was an honor to be here tonight. Scott was a big supporter, which is a big supporter of all Hatchet sports, especially with Lady Hatchet basketball. When they have the band concession at our home games, like, you know, he just loves it because of the crowds that come. And he was one of the big backers to start with, of like, how can we get more high school students into these games? You know, and he was all about, you know, popcorn for the kids as soon as they come in, whatever it takes, just to get more fans and more people out here to support the Lady Hatchets and just girls sports in general. So we appreciate your support on that.
I told Carrie Dalton I was gonna be here tonight. You can tell I love talking in front of people. And I said, no problem. She's hard to say no to. So, it's great to have a coach that is so excited about our kids. I think I really appreciate that from the whole staff. Great group of kids. The role I'm in now with the board a little bit, you get to see how people react to the kids of our community. And you guys are great examples of that. You're what's right about kids these days. And I really appreciate that. I appreciate what the parents have done to raise kids like this, what the coaching staff does. And I just think it speaks really well of Washington High School and being a Hatchet. I'm really proud of that. I was at every ballgame this year too. That's a small benefit of having to work at every game. But anyway, I kept up with Mr. Spellman on that one. Yeah, you know, they were always
I guess I
looking for
talked to the wrong person.
So anyway, and I felt like I had a little bit of a different perspective. Since we're down there at gate 1, I always sneak up the aisle. I don't know if y'all see, but I get to watch it ground level, and I think that's a neat perspective. You get to hear them talk a little more, and just realize how into the game they are and how much they take care of one another. I think that's really great too. So I don't have a long wind like Mr. Spillman does, so I think that's about all I have, but I really appreciate being invited and appreciate all the kids. Thank you.
Last but not least, Mr. Brummett. You know, if you ever see the Brummets at the game, if the game's at 6, they're there at 4:35, coming in gate 4 up there in their same seats. And I think Mr. Brummett was one of the first people I saw when we came into the championship game at Vincennes. We could finally get to a game, and it was like a kid in a candy shop. I mean, we were hugged, and it was just so exciting to see him. And you know, he was a big supporter of, you know, again, Hatchet athletics, but a huge supporter of Lady Hatchet basketball. And you know, him with our team too, he kind of, you guys remember from last year, kind of an emotional connection that he presented to the kids last year towards the end of the season that I'm sure he's going to talk a little bit about tonight. So, Mr. Brummett, you are up.
You're here early enough, you'll go back home, get it.
Really, all I can say, I gotta buy my wife a new TV, and I gotta buy her a new computer, and my phone is not big enough to see all you girls. And you two seniors, good luck in the future. And hope you have a good life. Last year, I think last year, help me on my memory. If I can get through. Had a real good friend died. Vietnam veteran. He died of Agent Orange. I think I got a plan. Vincent was playing. Don said, stand up, remove your hat, play the match plan. It's good to play. I didn't get up, because my wife told me not, to do what I was supposed to do. There was 2 people over here that was sitting down through the whole thing. I was gonna get up after it was all over with and have a talk. My wife said, no, let it go. But if you can't respect that flag, you don't need to be here in this world. It's just simple. I'm no better than nobody else in this crowd. But these girls right here, this has to come from you people. Not from them. They learned this from the parents. I don't know how many veterans there are here, but I know one man sitting right up there. His dad did my veteran too. Rick Hill, and he comes to me every game. I got my head on. I like that ass. I like that ass. You all right, Rick? But this coach right here and others, they're I know they're online, but we never missed a game in town or out of town. This fire's never kept me down. My wife said, I can't see that phone, I can't see, hold it out here, hold it out here. I don't know how to do this, and to get it on the computer, our oldest daughter, come over, she screened there. And we got the $10, well, we got it on big screen. Now, if we had a smart TV, we'd been all right. But all I can say is just keep up the good work. Just keep up the good work. And I'm very proud of you, because I got a lot of feedback on this right here from every one of you. And I respect that. And always remember, you don't ever see a guy working at it. Steve, do the same thing for your service. And you'll come out of it. And here's another thing. Always remember, you don't have to score to be a player. 2, 4, 6, 8, how many of them? You're a team. You proved that. This young lady right here got hurt. You were just like going in the battle. You did the trooper. You picked the other way. That's what everyone that you done. There's a girl over got hurt. If she had played, she picked up the pace and everything. And you're never gonna lose a game. That's all I can say. We and my wife love you. And if I could have snuck in, I'd have snuck in. But I didn't want to do it. Great. And I miss you applications because they took my table. She'd come in the morning, get her little phone that and stuff. I said, girl's gonna win tonight. I hope so. Come in next morning, the girl's gonna win tonight. Are they ready? Yeah, I think they are. But this young lady right here, she's back on there for me. And that mic right there gets your respect. And I know you respect me. And it all started right out here in the room, your parents. And I respect them. With good luck, and you set some time, we be ready for the regional, we're gonna win, right? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Brummett. Thank you for your service, we appreciate you. Now, there's a reason why we saved the best for last. These are definitely the unsung heroes. Our managers this season, as like every other season, I mean, they're the ones in charge of this ship. I mean, they hard workers. It was great to have Abby and Maddie this season too, being able to kind of learn the ropes from KB, who is, in charge of everybody. And again, we can't do what we can do without KB. And just how much hard work you guys put in this season and the behind the scenes, whether it's before practice, during, after, same way with games. I think you had a really, really, really good mentor in KB to be able to show you the ropes. Because as much as we want her here for the rest of her life, she's got to grow up and fly away and all those kind of good fun things. But, you know, KB, when it came to regional, it was a pretty close tie of the most heartbreaking thing, whether it was Kinsia's injury or KB's trip to the ER. It was right there, because as coaches, we're going, man, of course we hope she's okay, but what are we going to do tomorrow? KB? But, I mean, KB's tremendous. You know, as many times the kids are like, man, I can't find this, or where is this? And she's like, I put it right where I told you I put it. You know, it's in your locker. You know, and I think it's good to see too that our kids also understand the work that these kids do behind the scenes too. That it takes everybody. You know, we don't get what we get, or things don't happen the way they happen if we don't have kids like this in the program. And we're super lucky to have them. Super lucky to all the job they do. And again, you know, KB's a real boss. She's going to be the CEO of something, and multiple things in the future. And we're lucky to have all of them. And you know, again, with KB, like super organized, super independent. I just love having conversations with KB, especially after games. Like, man, what are we gonna do? Like, what's going on tonight? She's like, I don't know, but like, she just lets you have it. Like, I love it. Like, she just, you know, just completely blunt about things, but also these kids also #1 fan too. Like, KB is tremendous, and we're lucky to have all the managers that we have in our program. So, Kinley Barber, Maddie Jones, and Abby Brown. Now, before we end this evening, we have a couple gifts from the coaches to the entire team. And then after this, we need to get, obviously, pictures with the award winners, bowling trip, 6:30 Friday, if you want to go. One of the things, and I heard Jade say this, okay, so it was after the sectional game, they're in the locker room just kind of hanging out, and Jade just kind of sitting there just holding the trophy, you know, not really talking to anybody in general, she's just kind of looking at it, you know, just can't let it go, and, you know, just great, and she's like, she looked on the back of it, and it said, you know, you can get a mini version of this trophy, you know, contact your athletic director. And I heard her say it, and she's like, man, it'd be nice to have one of these. She's not talking to anybody in general. She's just like, man, it would be nice to have one of these. And I left, and I'm like, we're getting those kids one of those. You know, and hopefully we were going to get, like, you know, one a little bit farther down the road, but it just didn't happen that way. But for tonight, everyone on this team will receive a sectional championship. Again, just a tremendous year for the kids. We were able to kind of get some plaques that we want the kids to be able to keep a keepsake for. Just the memories of things is something that you just, you know, can't get enough of, and definitely don't want them to forget the ride they were on this year. And as coaches, we were fortunate enough just to be along with it. But this plaque that every person will get, okay, it looks like this. It's got the sectional championship photo with the kids, managers, cheerleaders. It has everybody's name on it. It also puts, you know, the Sweet 16. Down here it has, you know, all their accomplishments this year. The PAC Conference champs, Plainfield Tournament champs, state ranking #5 in Class 3A, sectional champs, Sweet 16. Has every single game this season and the score. So every single player. So again, before you leave, we'll get those passed out to you guys before you go. Make sure we'll get pictures taken for this evening before you go. And again, just want to thank everybody. It takes, like, when you talk about a room of people, it takes everybody. I mean, parents, coaches, players, the community. It takes everyone to be able, you know, to make things go. We appreciate every single one of you. So thank you for everything you do, and thank you for being here. Shane and Leah just know they can't make cuts next year. So it said, one of Jade's paintings, again, these kids are multiple talented and many other things. So it says Lady Hatches back-to-back sectional champs, 2020 and 2021. It's us in the huddle. Yes, thank you very much. Thank you for being such an amazing coach, and we love you. It's got the sassy 6. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. And again, you guys kind of set the tone for how things are going to be in the future. Appreciate you for that. So thank you, everybody. And Yeah, the speakers, you have to get your picture taken too, so come on up.
Hey,